Yesterday, Vancouver turned out to watch the champ cars run for provisional pole. A year ago, Alex Tagliani dominated qualifying for the Players Foresight team. Then he and Patrick Carpentier led the field to the green on Sunday. Yesterday, another Canadian stepped to the front, Paul Tracy. While championship leader Cristiano D'Amato was plagued by problems and was bumped from the top of the timesheets for the first time in 8 road course qualifying sessions. Second fastest was another surprise, Scott Dixon with the best run of his career. For other drivers, though, it was anything but a sunny day on Canada's Sunshine Coast. Jimmy Vasser took a backward trip into the tires and was dropped to 14th. But the biggest hit was suffered by Bruno Junqueira, a nasty ride that destroyed the car, and one from which the points runner-up was lucky to walk away with little more than a sore wrist. Junqueira's crash cemented Tracy's provisional pole, but today there is a much bigger prize, a pole trophy named for a fallen colleague, Vancouver's own Greg Moore. After a cool, cloudy morning, the sun is peeking through at Concord Pacific Place, and the lap times are sizzling as we get set for the second and final round of qualifying for round 10 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series, the Molson Indy Vancouver. Temperatures in the mid-70s, but the track is likely to be a little bit slicker today. Still, we saw amazing times in the morning practice. Let's get to Derek Daly as we get set for qualifying.
Well, for passionate motorsports fans, you just can't go wrong than to be around the Canadians, particularly when they look this good. Now, yesterday, Friday, which was a work day, more than 44,000 people turned up here just to witness the speed and to soak up the atmosphere. And, of course, what they want is some of their local or national Canadian heroes to be successful. Patrick Carpentier from Players, as well as Alex Tagliani, and, of course, Paul Tracy. Now, remember, last year, they monopolized the front row with the Players team, and Tagliani could have won, except for a mechanical failure. And of course, remember 2 weeks ago in Cleveland, when Patrick Carpentier scored by far his biggest win. What a great setup to come here to Vancouver, Canada. Yesterday in qualifying, the man who put it on the line when it mattered was Paul Tracy. It was a magical lap that captured the pole position, but that was yesterday. Today is today, and this is the Greg Moore Pole Position Award that every driver will strive for during this critical 1-hour session of qualifying. Coming up, Calvin.
Double D, as you mentioned, Paul Tracy grabbed the provisional pole here yesterday, and what is significant about that is with the qualifying rules, he is now locked into a front row starting position for tomorrow's race. So even if he has a disaster here today, he'll start no lower than second. Speaking of yesterday, we saw the normal gains. All of the drivers waiting until the final few minutes of the qualifying session to go out and try and lay down a hot one, and boy did they get burned yesterday. 2 red flag periods, we saw a lot of traffic, and many drivers said, I had a pole winning car, but we never got to see that elusive lap time. I think today will be a different story. The strategy should be on Saturday. You got to be conservative here. You need a good grid position. I think we'll even see some of the faster teams going out much earlier in the session today. Scott Pruitt.
Thanks, Calvin. Well, big problems yesterday for our points leaders. Both Cristiano D'Amato pull a blank here. Cristiano D'Amato had big problems yesterday. Right back on song today. No problem. Second, right up at the front. Bruno Junqueira, on the other hand, big problems yesterday, big crash. In fact, he's got a bit of an injury on his left arm. And big problems again this morning. Could be very difficult. Interestingly enough, there's a problem with Cristiano's car. They still never found anything. They took the engine, actually the back half of the car, put it on his backup car, and that's what they're going to run for qualifying this afternoon. The other interesting point was qualifying. A little cooler conditions for today. The guys are finding it's taking 1 extra lap to get that good lap out of the cars, coming 4 and 5. The difficulty is trying to balance the tire pressure coming just at that right point. A number of issues concerning these guys today. We'll see who comes up with a fast lap after qualifying's done. Tommy?
I usually read People magazine to find out who's hooking up with who, but here in the kart paddock, they have nothing on, Hollywood has nothing on us. Instead of producers and starlets, though, it's owners and drivers, and you see a lot of action, guys slinking around behind transporters. I saw Bruno Junqueira bending Carl Haas's ear the other day, but the prettiest girl in town is Paul Tracy, and no one will make a move without him. Now, Paul Tracy going out and getting the pole yesterday was like him strapping on a 6-inch pair of stilettos. So we're going to try to get some answers from Paul on what he's thinking. That has a second component, though, is these guys, everybody being in an option year or out and out free, the guys are going to start taking extra chances both in qualifying and in the race. Bob?
Paul Tracy in stilettos. Thanks for the visual, TK. Well, as the boys have told you, we've got a great qualifying session in store. Everybody was quicker this morning than they were yesterday. Paul has that locked-in championship point and front row starting position for Sunday's race, but it remains to be seen who will start on pole position for the event. Here are the morning practice times. Once again, PT up front. Cristiano D'Amata, 16th yesterday, but the Newman Haas team appears to have found the handle. D'Amata up to second. Christian Fittipaldi, his teammate, up to fourth, sandwiching Michael Andretti, who has also found new speed. Dario Franchitti, a threat for pole here. He has won one before. There you see Bruno Junqueira in 15th, and we're still wondering whether that badly damaged left arm is going to bother him as he works his way around this very difficult 12-turn, 1.78-mile circuit. That's all ahead of us. We'll be back in a moment, live to Vancouver to await the start of final qualifying. Live Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by Toyota. Get the feeling. And by Bridgestone Tires, advanced technology that gives you a grip on the future. Welcome back to Concord Pacific Place in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I'm Bob Barsha with Tommy Kendall. Derek Daly, Calvin Fish, and Scott Pruitt are in the pit lane, as they will be for tomorrow's race. It's coming your way live here on Speed Channel. Our pre-race 30-minute show begins at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by the CART Grand Prix of Vancouver. Now let's take a closer look at this 12-turn, 1.78-mile circuit. Tommy?
Now, turn 1 and 2 looks like one long corner, but that's actually it's one corner that plays like a decreasing radius. They come in, minimum speed being about right there. They try to get there as quick as possible. No real exit, so they just constant speed. And then into the hairpin onto the back straightaway. Hard braking here. This is where Bruno had his accident. Very, very bumpy, off camber. The right front wheel is unweighted. Then coming back into here, there's a left, right, left, heading up to turn 12. It looks pretty straight there, but the guys will bomb straight through there, hitting the curbs on both sides. We'll see that on the onboard lap here in just a second with Kenny Brack. Now turn 1 here, trying to get it downhill till this point. Then they pick up elevation. This one very off camber. Now Kenny's not quite up to temperature here. His tires aren't. He's coming through the hairpin. As he comes to this kink, you'll listen, he breathes out of it a little bit. When the tires are hot, that's easy flat out. Last year with the more boost, it was a bit more of an issue, but coming down here flat in 6th gear, a little bit of rear wheel lock up when you hear the engine go quiet like that. The next complex, 7 and 8, is very much like 1 and 2. Reads as 2 corners, but drives like 1 with a tighter second half. Fast left-hander that you never really get it straight. Have to start braking for turn 10. Curb there that doesn't upset the car much. They might touch the one on the right there a little bit, but here's the thing. Watch where he lifts out of the gas. Bang, straight line, just look straight ahead. Tire wall, no margin for error.
So there is a lap of Concord Pacific Place. Now, Bruno Junqueira, as Tommy mentioned, had a bit of a problem at the end of that high-speed straightaway on the backstretch.
Suspension already collapsed there, and then instantaneously the other side collapsed as well from the added load. Both Mola and Team Ganassi being a little bit tight-lipped, but another big couple of impacts. Now watch this in real time, and I'll just lay out and listen to the energy from the sound when he hits this wall. Very, very lucky young man.
And the Simple Green safety team was immediately on the wreck. He walked away with a badly bruised left arm. Let's get down to Calvin Fish.
Well, the team have switched to the backup cars. Obviously, that car yesterday, Bruno, was junk. How are you feeling? You're looking like you're moving a little slowly today.
I'm a little bit stiff, but I think it'll be good for put one good lap and qualify.
That was a huge wreck yesterday. Is that the biggest one you've had in your career?
Yeah, that was the biggest crash that I had in my career, but I hope it'll be just that one.
When you go back out, for the folks sitting at home and they see a crash like that, when you go back out this morning in the practice session and you go through the same section of the racetrack, any flashbacks, or do you just put it out of your mind and get on with your job?
I just put out of mind. I think this morning it was really funny because on my first outing, when I finished the outing, it was P1. And I said, we have to try to go even faster than yesterday because otherwise we're not going to get through that, you know.
Track has obviously got a lot quicker overnight, Bruno. You were pushing hard again in this morning's practice session. You had a moment down in turn 1. What happened down there?
I just locked the gears and spun, but everything is fine. Didn't damage the car. I could just change the tires and continue to run this morning.
Strategy so far this season is to see everyone wait and wait and wait and really play that game of chicken there at the end of the session. What is your strategy going to be today? You're going to go out a bit earlier?
Yeah, I think you have to wait because if you don't wait, you don't get the rope on the track and you're going to get people out of the pits and slow laps. Then you're going to get traffic anyway. Then, unfortunately, you have to wait.
All right, mate. Well, best of luck today. Good luck.
Thank you.
That's Bruno Junqueira. He's not the only man who's down to one car basically for the weekend. There is the backup car, the 6X, for the runaway championship leader, Cristiano D'Amato. We'll tell you his story when we return in just a moment. Don't forget, the Formula One German Grand Prix is coming your way here on Speed Channel. Michael Schumacher is on pole alongside brother Ralph. Check out the race tomorrow morning, 7:30 Eastern Time, live only on Speed Channel. And tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, an encore presentation of the German Grand Prix. Welcome back to final qualifying for the Kart Grand Prix of Vancouver, round 10 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series for 2002. A series now reduced to 19 events following the recent announcement that the German oval track race at the Lausitzring has been canceled due to that track's financial difficulties. Our understanding is it will not be replaced. That's one less opportunity for the rest of the field to catch Cristiano D'Amato, who holds a 50-point advantage over Bruno Junqueira, 56 over Dario Franchitti, another 2 points back, a tie between Patrick Carpentier, the winner 2 weeks ago at Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, and Michel Jourdain Jr., who remains the only driver to score top 10 finishes in each of the preceding 9 rounds. But there is still much to race for and much to qualify well for today. Now here's a look at Cristiano D'Amato's excitement yesterday. Actually fairly dull. You see the 5 victories and 4 poles notched in the side of the cockpit. But when he went out in his primary car, chronic problems with turbo boost and fuel pressure. So the team rolled away the primary car. They worked on it all night long trying to get it fixed. Apparently they cannot solve the problem. So the backup car, it appears, will be Cristiano D'Amato's primary mount for the rest of the weekend. Let's get down to the pit lane and more now with Scott Pruitt.
I'm here with Cristiano's engineer, Rocky. A lot of problems, a lot of frustrations yesterday. Did you find anything with the car?
Yeah, I think we've got a pretty good idea of what the problem is. We decided to stick with the T car just because that car was running fine, and it was more a question of being certain that we had like a good hour practice this morning and not take any risk with the prime car. So we're running the T car, but yeah.
Looks like even though you lost a little track time yesterday, right back on song today.
Yeah, every time we unloaded the car, it's been quite quick, and the tires are similar to Toronto and Long Beach, where we had a pretty good car. So I'm not that surprised that the setup is okay. The main problem was Cristiano getting some laps, really.
Well, best of luck. The Newman Haas team look like they're right back on song. Hopefully we'll put this thing right up at the front. Bob, Tommy?
All right, thank you very much, Scott. Rocky Roqueline. Cristiano D'Amato gives him a lot of credit for his great performance this year. Now tonight and tomorrow night, don't forget to check out Speed News at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. On Sunday night, of course, we begin with 30 minutes of NASCAR news. Then at 7:30, the rest of the news, filling out a 1-hour edition of Speed News. Saturday and Sunday at 7 Eastern, only on Speed Channel. There's Alex Tagliani. Welcome back to Vancouver. A year ago, the Greg Moore Pole Award, named for the kart star who grew up in nearby Maple Ridge, went to a fellow Canadian, Alex Tagliani, who took pole. In fact, it was a complete player's Forsyth front row as Patrick Carpentier lined up as his teammate's wingman. They went to the green flag. Unfortunately, Tagliani unable to win the race. He dominated it for more than 60 laps before mechanical failure sidelined him. That was a loss he would like to atone for very much this weekend. Here's Calvin Fish.
Tags, you said after qualifying yesterday you thought you had a pole-winning car and went out this morning and backed that claim up a little bit. 6 fastest, but right in the ballpark. How about the qualifying session today? What do you expect?
I think it's going to be very tight. It's very, very difficult to have a clear lap. But I think the player's car is fast. I think we really have a shot for the front row. It's just going to take like a perfect lap, everything perfect, no traffic. So I hope that we'll be able to do it.
We're seeing some of the cars leave pit lane already. This is pretty early when we look at the rest of the sessions this year. What are you and the team going to do today? You're going to go out a bit earlier and be a bit more conservative?
Well, no, I think we're getting ready and might go out earlier too.
All right, mate. I know you're ready to go. Go get them.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Calvin. Well, we wondered whether anyone would change their qualifying strategy. We're used to seeing the pit lane quiet for 30 or 40 minutes before anybody goes out. Cristiano D'Amata leads some of the hottest players out immediately. We're just over 6 minutes into the session.
He just can't afford not to do that with what happened yesterday. I imagine if he can get a good representative time that moves him up in the top 3 or 4, he might play the waiting game till the end of the session, but he just had way too much to lose. So the problem that Dario alluded to yesterday is if you do this, the thing that can bite you is if when he's on his 3rd or his 4th lap, if a bunch of guys are streaming out on cold tires, that whole complex turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can't get out of someone's way if you want to. So that is the risk here, but they are going to roll the dice.
Derek Daly has more on strategy.
Bob, the only thing I will tell you is everybody is watching Paul Tracy. Everybody's asking when will he go out. Believe it or not, his plan as he stands here right now watching the monitors is to sit for a full 45 minutes and only run the last 15. Wow, considering what happened yesterday and all the complaints everybody had about traffic, I'm so surprised Tracy will sit here that long. Scott?
Talking to the Newman Haas guys, their philosophy was exactly what Tommy was saying. They wanted to go early enough where they get a good clear lap without having cars come out in front of them. As we sit here, a number of cars have run out, jumped out there trying to get some good laps, and a number of the rest of the guys are still either getting ready or climbing in their cars as we speak. This is an effort to get out there and get that fast lap in without getting caught up with traffic coming out of the pits. Guys?
Thank you, Scott. There's our visor view cam looking out the visor of Tony Kanaan. You see that white rectangle on his steering wheel? That's actually a track map.
Well, everybody always jokes about that's so they know where they're going. What that's actually for is when you come into the pits and you're talking with your engineer, if you're talking about turn 7, but your engineer thinks it's turn 8, so it's just to make sure that your comments are in sync. And so that's what that's for, because sometimes they change tracks over the year. Laguna Seca, for example, what used to be turn 4 is now turn 6. So it makes sure everybody's talking about the same thing.
And all of these slow sections, and yet Paul Tracy's lap this morning at 60.778 seconds, just about 3/10 of a second off the all-time lap record, averages out to 105.5 miles per hour. Now, yesterday, rookie leader Townsend Bell joined us here in the booth for qualifying. Today, we're happy to be joined by kart star and proven winner, Max Pappas. Max, welcome.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Are you surprised at all to see these guys running out there as quickly as they have?
No, I'm not really surprised, Actually, this morning, lap time were very, very quick. And I'm not surprised to see guys out there early. It's a very slippery track, very easy to make a mistake. You need few laps to put the hit in the tire. And I think it's a good move to be out there at the beginning.
I'm sure all your fans out there, Max, are wondering about your driving situation. The Sigma Autosport team is basically folded. What are your plans?
I'm here keeping my ear on the ground, listening what's happening. A lot of sound coming out and a lot of balls up in the air. I think it's going to be very, very interesting the next 2 or 3 weeks. A lot of doors opening, a lot of situation happening, and looks like there's going to be a place for me for sure somewhere.
Well, that's great to hear, and it's you always have a smile on your face, but for the last 3 or 4 months, it's kind of been a forced smile. And seeing you now, there's that glow about you that is so magnetic that has drawn the fans to you, and I see that back. So you obviously feel good about how things are going.
The action has taken place at the top of the charts. We have already seen pole position bumped around. Cristiano D'Amata has at the moment, taking it from Tony Kanaan. I wonder if that man, Paul Tracy, is wondering about that strategy of sitting and waiting. Welcome back live to the streets of Vancouver, Canada. A little twitch of the rear wheels tells you Cristiano Domata is working hard, and he has just broken Dario Franchitti's all-time lap record here at Concord Pacific Place. A moment ago, I talked about that 105-mile-an-hour average speed for Paul Tracy in yesterday's provisional poll. Domata has just gone 106.260 miles per hour in average speed.
And watch him crash the curbs.
Scott Dixon was second quickest in provisional qualifying. He has yet to post a time today, and he's already back in 7th.
Cristiano ran one extra lap. That was a minute .5, just about a little over a tenth off of his lap the lap before. So it looks like lap 4 is the one that the guys are going to try to do it on.
Paul Tracy remains in second. And there are lots of interested spectators this weekend, including some of the stars of the future. Let's meet one of them now with Calvin Fish.
Well, Bob, another rung on the kart ladder system is here this weekend, the Barber Dodge Pro Series, and the guys really stirring up a storm in that series. AJ Allmendinger, you've won 4 out of 6, third pole of the season here this morning, but you guys were actually a little bit slower today than you were yesterday. What gives up there?
Yeah, I think it's the support series like Cash Car. The rubber they lay down and the fuel and the oil that they drop, it just made the track slippery for us. And part of it, I think, was we had 2 black flags, and we didn't have any yesterday, so we lost a little bit of time. That hurt me a little bit, and I just mistimed that a little bit, but I think the race will be great tomorrow.
Talk about the Kart Mentor program. In Chicago, you spent time with Hilton Motorsports, an Atlantic team. You're hoping to move up next year. What did you learn there?
I just learned a lot. I mean, Hilton Racing is a great team. I learned so much about the technical aspect, what they go through, what the drivers debrief with the engineers and what they have to do. And just to learn a lot about that is going to be key for when I move next year into that.
Okay, well, the guy who's actually a mentor to this guy is PT, Paul Tracy, and he stands by with Derek Daly.
Well, Paul, we all watch the monitors anxiously here with you. I mean, you're everybody's favorite. Are you nervous, Paul, sitting here watching Domata go out and beat your time?
No, I think we have some in hand. I mean, it's going to be a hard time to beat. He's done a good time. But, you know, we have the luxury of being able to wait, and he didn't have the luxury of being able to wait, so he had to go out and establish a time.
But, Paul, yesterday the biggest complaint by so many drivers was in the last 15 minutes there was just too much traffic. I know your plan initially is to sit 45 minutes and only run that last 15 minutes. Isn't that a bit risky?
Yeah, it is, but a lot of guys are running now, whereas yesterday nobody ran. So there's a lot of fast guys on the track, like Dario, Christian, Michael's out there, Cristiano, Kanan. They're all running right now, so in the final 10 minutes, they're not going to have any laps left. So the track will be quite clear in the final part.
This morning, when you were again the fastest man on the track, was it a good lap? Was it a new tire lap, or do you think you can find even more?
Well, I was quite surprised because it was an old tire run. So I think there's more with fresh tires, but we have to just put the whole lap together.
Oh, indeed. And if he does, I can promise you the more than 50,000 people that are now here today will just be cheering their hero, Paul Tracy.
No question about that. As you watch the now former lap record holder, Dario Franchitti, very much a threat to take it back shortly. 6 cars have gone out and posted hot laps. All 6 have gone quicker than Paul Tracy's provisional pole time from yesterday. Franchitti completes a lap at 61.116 seconds. And Paul raised a good point, Tommy, about guys burning up their laps. Each driver's allowed 15-time lap. Cristiano Domata has gone through 8. I'm assuming it would make sense for him now to pull in and wait.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, he's run the quickest of the guys, most of the guys that have done their first run so far. See Dario down the escape road.
He'll be able to make a 180 and come back out, I believe. A little assist from the spinning rear tires.
And see that he had just done his 4th lap. He put in a good time, moved him up to 6th. So he was trying to dig a little bit more. He had 1 in the books. It was pretty safe. Go a little bit harder. But down to the pit lane with Scott Pruitt.
I'm down here in front of Adrian Fernandez, currently 4th. Bumped the wall. The Italian team was in here taking a good close look at the right front. Tore the front wheel up just a little bit. They were out here with scales taking a look at the front suspension. Everything looks fine. They got a new set of tires on. Also, we talked about the quickest laps. I was watching Cristiano D'Amato's time. His quickest was his 4th time lap, was his quickest lap. The 5th time lap was actually a drop of about 2/10. That's going to be the number. These guys are going to be forced to do 2 runs, each run with a brand new set of tires. Bob, Tommy?
Well, I spoke with Adrian Fernandez last night, and he seemed fairly confident that he could pull something out of the hat today. He's already improved 2.5 seconds over his performance in yesterday's provisional qualifying. Dario Franchitti back on the gas.
Now, Max, after you do something like that, we've heard that the spike, the peak grip on the tires looks like lap 4. His 5th lap, he went down the escape road. This is his 6th lap. Is he just trying to try a few things out, or does he have a meaningful shot at improving his time here, you think?
I think he can improve because the previous lap was not really 110%. But the tires goes away very fast. You know, you have basically 1 lap when you can really go, and if you want to put the car on pole, that lap is the one that's going to count. You know, but it's a very, very slippery track, and I tell you, it's that easy to make a mistake. You know, it doesn't take much.
On to the start-finish straightaway comes Dario Franchitti, checking his time at the line. And he moves up 60.559. That's the 2nd fastest lap we've seen thus far. Great run for Dario Franchitti and the Team Cool Green Lola Honda. We'll take a break and return with more live from a very dramatic qualifying session here in Vancouver. This live Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by FedEx, proud sponsor of the Kart FedEx Championship Series. By Porsche, what only a Porsche brings to driving. And by Toyota, get the feeling. Welcome back. High clouds overhead, temperatures in the high 70s, maybe touching 80 degrees. And tremendous performances being put in by the drivers here in round 10 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series, the Grand Prix of Vancouver. This is Scott Dixon for Target Chip Ganassi Racing. He was 2nd quick in yesterday's provisional qualifying. If he can hang on to it, it'll be his best qualifying performance ever in his short 2-year career in the Champ Cars.
Well, that time's already long gone, so he's going to have to do it, earn it all over again today.
He ran a 61.939 yesterday, a 61.288 thus far, and he is way back in 8th place. Calvin Fish has more on Cristiano D'Amato.
Well, I think now that Cristiano has a lap time in the bag, Bob, I think they'll play the normal games here with Newman Haas. I mean, he can probably afford to wait now, gamble a little bit, look for the track to come in and look for that optimum lap. We talked to the crew, they said no real changes on the car regarding setup. They're currently working over on the right rear corner of the car. I believe one of the brake ducts has come loose and the mechanics are working on that. But we don't believe any setup changes for Cristiano. Let's go down to Scott Pruitt.
Almost the same thing with Adrian Fernandez. They did take a close look at the car, nothing bent. He's sitting here on a new set of tires. I talked to Don Halliday, chief engineer on the car. I said, hey, when are you guys going back out? And he said, you know what? We've got in a good shot right now. We're going to wait till the end and see what happens. Guys?
Jimmy Vasser logs in at 60.942 seconds. Just looking at these pictures, you can see how narrow this track is, how difficult it will be to pass in tomorrow's race, which puts even more pressure on today's qualifying.
I tell you guys, this track is very special. I like it a lot. It's very technical. And passing, is not impossible. The straight is pretty big, it's pretty wide. But qualifying, is going to give a big advantage to the brain of the guys.
Now, how hard is it? The straightaway is not actually straight, and you end up kind of angling right into the braking zone. So you have to come from behind the guy rather than trying to get up next to him. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's not that easy to go flat in that kink all the time. And if you got a good car, you can take advantage of the guys in front of you. And plus, it's a very technical track. It's enough to just miss a little bit the turning in point in the hairpin, and here you go. You can pass guys. Looks like Jimmy's pretty good.
He's going to bring it on in. Victim of a spin yesterday after being one of the fastest men on track, and came into today with a lot of confidence. Michael Andretti is working his way up the charts once again. Derek Daly has more on him.
Have a look at this here, Bob. How close can you get to the wall without actually rubbing it? Well, this was too close. Michael rubbed the wall. took the Bridgestone Potenza off, left the Bridgestone Potenza autograph somewhere out in the concrete. Didn't do any suspension damage. They simply checked it for air pressure. They might use it again, but a brand new set going on for Michael's second run.
Bridgestone Potenza tires on all of the cars in the series, using Bridgestone's softest compound, a real street track weapon this weekend. Here's a look at Michael Andretti hopping the curbs. Check this out.
Now, he actually got in a little bit late. I think you want to hit the first one, if I'm not mistaken. So he turned in a hair late, and that put him behind. Did it not, Max?
Yeah, you really want to hit the first one, you know, more than the second one, because it's actually the first one that keeps the car straight. The second one make the car jump around. And I tell you, it's very technical. It's I really love that corner.
Well, and you can't just abort, can you? You gotta, if you make a mistake, you're getting in deeper and deeper. There's no run off road. It's just that wall staring you straight in the face.
And you've got very few laps, so every lap counts.
Oh, heavy over those.
Look at it. He straddled those curves. Those things are about 2.5 inches tall.
This is Alex Tagliani, last year's pole sitter. This is the Turn 10 complex near Science World. Here come those curbs Michael bombed. Oh. 61.326 for Alex Tagliani. Meanwhile, Dario Franchitti second quick in the session at 60.559. You're on board with Kenny Brack. Calvin Fish has more on Dario.
Dario sits patiently in the car. I just spoke to Alan McDonald, his engineer. He said Dario's suffering from power understeer through turns 6 and 8, and that means when he gets on the gas pedal, the car just goes straight towards the wall. They've decided to make a rear spring change, stiffening up the rear spring, trying to get the car to rotate a little bit more through the corner and gain a couple of tenths, see if he can get that time a little bit quicker than D'Amata. Let's go down to Scott.
I'm down here in Vassar's pit. Just came in, parked the car. Everything looks pretty good. They're not quite getting enough downforce on the front. They lowered the front skirts, trying to get a little more front downforce, and also going to a bigger gurney across the back. So they're looking for more total grip out of the car. More front wing, more rear wing, trying to get more total grip. Sitting here on a new set of tires, getting ready to head out here any minute. Derek?
Scott, Paul Tracy has changed his plan. So many drivers went out earlier. He was trying to catch between the two waves. The initial run, then everybody comes in, then they do the last runs. So many guys have now run. They're all coming into the pits. He now wants to try and go and make a run. I think he got a bit nervous sitting on the wall watching so many guys go just that little bit faster. There's prestige here in Vancouver to winning that Greg Moore pole position trophy. He would like his arms around it.
Now we're on board with Kenny Brack. He is the last driver to make his first run besides Paul Tracy, and this is his 5th lap. So the tires should be right at optimal. Kenny catches that second curve a little later than the other guys, doesn't he, Max?
Yeah, he was off the power quite a lot. And it doesn't look like he has a lot of confidence turning in.
A lot of steering input. The car is very loose. Kenny Brack at 60.979 seconds. 14 drivers have bettered Paul Tracy's provisional pole time. He'd better get out there soon.
Thanks.
Welcome back to Vancouver. In 2 weeks' time, it's on to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Qualifying coming your way Friday, August 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time here on Speed. Kart Friday night from a very special Mid-Ohio event at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Saturday qualifying live at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio will air on Sunday beginning at 12:30 p.m. Eastern live on CBS. This weekend here on Speed, check out the AMA at Mid-Ohio. Sunday, we'll have the 600 Super Sport event at 12 p.m. Eastern, followed at 3 p.m. Eastern Time by the big Superbike National. Great motorcycle racing coming your way this weekend here on Speed. I'm Bob Varsha with Tommy Kendall. Derek Daly, Calvin Fish, and Scott Pruitt are in the pit lane, and Max Pappas joins TK and myself here in the announce position as we watch Cristiano Damata out for his second run.
And that's the exact danger. Cristiano was on his peak lap, his 11th lap, when PT rolled out, and he caught him right before the kink. Whether he held him up or not, it's hard to say.
His first run, you know, his lap time was very, very impressive, you know, really quick. Went very, very quick immediately. It's not easy. The track definitely is better now.
Oriol Servia has also gone out, so all of the 18 cars will have posted at least their first hot lap times by the end of this run. Onto the front straightaway comes the points leader, Cristiano Damata, checking his time. Nope, 61.728, well off his current pole time of 60.339 seconds. We await Paul Tracy's first hot lap. Meanwhile, here's Derek Daly.
Quick update, Bob, on Michael Andretti. He hit the wall sufficiently hard. They actually took out the alignment jig and have just finished realigning the rear suspension on his car. Meanwhile, 3 pits down, Tony Kanaan did a run because they changed the car mechanically. I said, tell me what you changed. He said, nothing was the same as we had this morning. And he said, Morris Nunn made a lot of the engineering decisions for the first time. So he did his run purely to see, was it okay? They have since gone stiffer on the rear suspension, and it sits now on jacks in the pits with brand new tires waiting for that last traffic-free, he hopes, 15 minutes. Scott?
Big problems for Rahal driver Michel Jourdain. Complained all of a sudden, lost power. Don't know what the problem is. Pushing the car back right now, going to bring back the X car. There's no way to get this. Only a small amount of time left here. There is no time to suss out the problem, exactly what it is. So they're rushing, going to get him into the backup car and get it out here as soon as possible, get him strapped in and see if he can go out and get a good run. Guys?
There is Michel Jourdain, hands on hips, currently shown in 16th position. Visor cam with Paul Tracy. Heard the traction control chatter. That was his third lap, taking 2 seconds off the previous orbit at 63.047 seconds. He's going to want a lot more out of this lap.
Yeah. We were thinking this is his 4th lap, but I think it's probably going to be lap 5. He's still not taking 10/10s, is he, Max?
Yeah, we're going to see here. It's pretty quick now. He went flat into the kink. And I think this one and the next one are going to be the quick one.
Turn 6.
Didn't do very good braking in that part. Didn't kick the throttle enough. But he's still very, very quick. You know, Paul is one of the most, incredible guy out there. You know, always goes sideways. You know, he push really hard. For me, that I'm outside here watching, is great fun to watch.
Chased the back end going into turn 10, jumped out sideways on him. Wow.
He's really on it now.
Checking the time this time by, that was a 61.074. Still not what he wants. He's got to get about another 8/10 out of it. If he's going to overcome Cristiano Damata.
Looks like he backed off a little bit. Yeah.
Oh. Plenty of time, plenty of laps. This is only his 5th of 15. Meanwhile, Cristiano Damata has shot all of his 15 laps. He's done for the day at 60.339. He can only wait and watch.
And it looks like to me with new tires, I mean, you can just when the tires come in, it's a really odd. You feel the grip come through the steering wheel, and the back is just a little bit more planted than normal, and it just gives you that confidence where you need the most commitment going into the corner. Is that correct?
Yeah, you know, it's a very, very fine compromise between being aggressive and being smooth. You know, you can easily overdrive the car, and You know, when you put new tires, you always want to feel you want to go a little bit more, a little bit harder. But in the slow corner, you know, it's important to back off a little bit. You know, get in, carry a lot of speed at the entrance. And I think Paul overdrove the car a little bit before. And now let's see if it's going to be smoother and take the best out of the car.
66 seconds last time by, but we knew he was out of it a bit. To about 175 miles an hour or so. This is turn 6.
Very light braking here. Here you can carry a lot of speed. You can make a lot of lap time coming out.
To the line, 60.871. That is roughly the 6th quickest time of the session. Still not what he wants. Cristiano D'Amato watches. He's got all the time in the world. We'll talk to him when we return live to final qualifying for the Kart Grand Prix of Vancouver. Stay with us.
Back to second day qualifying from Vancouver, and the man they're all chasing is Cristiano D'Amato. He's on the pit wall talking to Peter Gibbons. Cristiano, a sensational lap you laid down there, bearing in mind how the weekend has gone.
Well, yeah, yesterday was pretty difficult, but today everything ran pretty smooth. Morning session was pretty smooth. Now we decided to go a little early because of due to traffic was horrible for everybody yesterday. So at least I got 2 clear laps. That was what I had in the car. Maybe somebody improves our time. We just have to go back to the trailer and work more on our setup.
I was kind of surprised after you got one in the bank there and you had a quick lap, you were the fastest man, that you didn't wait a bit longer. What made you go out again very early in the session?
Well, this track's so easy to get a red flag and to get traffic, so we better think if we get in the rhythm and get a couple of good laps together, it's better than if you wait for the ultimate grip on the track and maybe just get one eventual lap and a bunch of traffic laps. So I think the momentum is more important here.
Okay, mate, well, good luck. They've got about 20 minutes to wait, guys. Let's get down to Derek Daly.
Paul Tracy just made that one run. He's just had a long conversation with Steve Chalice, his engineer. John Anderson, the team manager, just told me they made several changes after this morning session when he was fastest. Prior to the run now, he didn't like them all. They've now gone back on some of them. I know one that went back on was a front shock absorber change. I believe they're going to take out some rear wing from the front. But his problem corners are the slow speed corners. He said everything else is fairly good.
We're watching Bruno Junqueira. He has had quite a weekend thus far. That mammoth crash yesterday, and he slid it sideways into the tire this morning. His target, Chip Ganassi Racing Lola. There's his teammate, Scott Dixon. As we went to break, we showed you the top 5, and you may have been wondering why Cristiano D'Amato and Paul Tracy were shown as 1 and 2, even though Tracy has set only the 6th fastest time of the session. Remember, he was the first day leader in Friday's provisional qualifying, so he is guaranteed a spot on the front row no matter how fast or how slow he goes today. Dixon pounding the curves, currently shown in 9th place on the absolute grid. Scott Pruitt.
It's funny talking about strategy. I went up to him and said, how long are you going to go? He said, we're going to wait for about 10 minutes to go. Then they run out about 20 minutes to go, so everybody's getting a little anxious. I went down and talked to Michael with Rahal, Michael Johnson. I said, when are you guys going to go? He says, we need 7 minutes from the end. That'll give us the remainder of our laps. So they're going to play it right to the end. He said, we're going to roll out here with about, he said about 8 minutes. I'll give us 7 minutes to get those fast laps in with Jimmy Vasser. Calvin?
Well, just a quick update on Alex Tagliano. He's been in conversation with Tony Sicali, his engineer, and he said he's got big oversteer. What they've done to the car is soften off the rear shocks a little bit and then raise the front of the car, make it less pointy on the entry to the corner. Now, Tags wanted to go out and test that setup on this first set of tires, but Tony said you'll only have 6 laps. That's too much of a gamble. You're just going to have to go for it when you get out there. And I'd like to ask Max this. How tough is it in a qualifying session when you run the setup that you really never tried it before to go out there 10-10s and hang it on the line?
You need to know that you got a one chance and you need to believe in your car. That's where the confidence comes in. That's where Cristiano's been very good recently. It's a lot of confidence, been good feeling between you and the engineer. You need to know that you've got one shot, go out and just be focused.
Bruno just told his crew over the radio that something just broke in the car. Now, after the wreck he had yesterday, being a little gun-shy, you had a tremendous accident here in the kink.
Yeah.
What is it like once you've had a mechanical failure? How long does it take for that to leave your mind next time you get in the car?
You know, it leaves away very quickly, you know, if you don't have another one immediately. And it looks like Bruno seems to have a little bit of a problem this weekend. And I tell you, these walls are very hard. You know, that kink, was not a good experience last year, but it's part of motor racing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Well, we told that Bruno's impact was 40 Gs. Yours was 110.
Absolutely. I was flat out, I was flat out. I had Michael, right behind me. I just passed him in the pit. Rear tires locked up. Something happened, in the engine department there. And was not a good experience, but, that was mitigated by the win I got after that in Laguna.
On board with
Mitigated.
Patrick
That's good
Carpentier.
English there.
We're on board with Patrick Carpentier, currently shown way back in 16th place. Meanwhile, Derek Daly, I think you had a question for Max?
Yeah, and a quick update on Paul Tracy. I just spoke to Stuart, another one of Tracy's engineers. He said this morning they ended up tuning the car for cool conditions. When the sun came out and the temperature came up, it has affected Paul Tracy's car. They're now tuning it for the hotter conditions. Max, what type of things would they do to tune it for the hotter conditions?
Usually when it gets warm, you get more understeer. The car is less precise on the front end. You can do quite a lot of things. Sometimes you lose downforce. You need to put more downforce in the car overall to get the same amount of grip you got in the morning. Maybe have a little bit more rear tire pressure. Basically switch the grip more on the front end because it looks like Paul had too much understeer to go really, really quick.
Scott Dixon up to 4th on the provisional or on the absolute grid at 60.650 seconds. 4 drivers have used up their complete allotment of 15 laps. Cristiano Namada and Christian Fittipaldi from Newman Haas, Adrian Fernandez and Shinji Nakano from Fernandez Racing. Dario Franchitti will pull in, having exhausted his 15th lap. Scott Pruitt.
Well, that's funny. When you're talking about the overcast conditions, the track temp down here was about 95 degrees. As soon as the sun comes out, it immediately jumps 10 to 15 degrees. We're talking about grip. That's where it's going. It's all getting lost right there. As Max put it, you got to add more front downforce. Typically, that's what you're going to lose. So a number of these guys are doing it. Vassar, again, is just sitting here. They raised and added a little bit more total as we've been sitting here waiting for that last 7 minutes. Calvin?
Well, Michael Andretti is sitting in his pit box, and he's waiting, Scott, and he's really going to have the optimum track position right now. We're going to have a pretty clear racetrack, and we're looking for the optimum grip. And there's really a different aura, I believe, about Michael Andretti. The last couple of races, they made a lot of setup changes, particularly with the shock setup here, so that Michael can really take advantage of his driving style, which is really burying the car into the corner on the brakes and having the car be stable. Michael is a very confident driver right now. I think he's got potential to get up on the front 2 rows today.
The run I'm waiting for, all the guys are going to be going for it on their second run, but Paul Tracy's second run, the worst he can be is second. He's here in Canada. Once that front row, there's an extra point at stake. Paul Tracy's second run is going to be an absolute blinder, but the danger perhaps is trying too hard, right, Max?
Yeah, maybe he can try too hard, but it could be a good satisfaction for him and for Steve, the Greg Moore Trophy, Steve was the engineer of Greg, and it's just a very, very special thing, I hope that they can get it.
Good point. Derek Daly.
No.
Okay, on board with Kenny Breck, Calvin Fish. All right, from now on, you pit reporters have to raise your hand and be recognized. Actually, our producer is now taking the blame. I have more fun blaming the pit reporters, but there it is. Anyway, on board with Kenny Brack. He was 3rd quickest in provisional qualifying. He's now back in 10th spot at 60.979. Franchitti's car being wheeled away. His work is finished, but this guy, his teammate, still has a plan. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Vancouver. Be sure to check out the Speed World Challenge here on Speed Channel from Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The touring class at 8 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, followed by the GT division at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's the Speed World Challenge only on Speed Channel. You're on board with Kenny Brack. Working lap number 12. This is Tor Takagi, currently 14th. And this is his last shot before he runs out of laps. Scott Dixon has finished his allotment of 15 laps, and on his 13th, he set his best time at 60.650 seconds. He's with Scott Pruitt.
Target Chip Ganassi driver Scott Dixon. Scott, how was it out there?
It was not too bad. You know, we struggled a little bit with oversteer on the first run. We tried to keep it short, but, you know, we got caught in some traffic and stuff. So that's why we decided to go early in the next one. Same as a few other different guys today with Cristiano and that. And I think the track actually has got a little worse with a bit of the heat. So, you know, hopefully the time was fairly decent. I think it was pretty much all we could get out of the car. But, you know, hopefully it holds up fairly well and puts us near the top of the grid.
Now, as far as focusing on the race for tomorrow, what sort of changes are you thinking about making?
Well, you know, probably just, you know, make the rear a little better. You know, we've been having a bit of brake problems too with locking right fronts here. So, you know, we're going to try and help that as well.
Well, Target Chip Ganassi driver Scott Dixon, happy with the way you ran. Let's go a little further down. Calvin Fish. Calvin?
Well, as Max was saying earlier, Scott, he talked about when the conditions get warm, that actually puts some understeer into the car. We listened in to Tony Sicali talking to Tagliani. He said, I'm going to put some front wing in your car. It's got sunny and hot out now. You're going to be getting some understeer. So that's the confidence that Max is talking about between the engineer and the driver. We just talked to Mario Andretti as well. He said, we need some cloud cover here. We're waiting for those optimum laps here at the end of the session, but this sun is going to hurt us a little bit. Michael just left his pit box, guys. Look for Michael to lay down a hot one.
All right, thanks, guys. We saw Michel Jourdain Jr. climbing out of his car, winding up a brutal 2 days of qualifying for him. He is now 17th on the last row. This is Kenny Brack. Working his 14th lap, going by Jimmy Vasser.
The track seems a little bit more slippery than the beginning, definitely. Ken is struggling for grip, actually. He's going kind of slow at the moment.
Now we go to Patrick Carpentier, dead last in the field at 61.870 seconds. Last year, he sat P2 on the front row alongside his teammate Alex Tagliani. Derek Daly has more.
Quick update, how costly a small mistake can be. Patrick Carpentier this morning hit the wall in his primary car, damaged the tub so severely he went to the spare car. It has taken him all this session to get the spare car tuned.
He spun it again, Derek. It doesn't look like he hit anything, but he spun it off of, is that turn 2?
Yeah. Yeah, it's off camber, you know, it's kind of easy to do it.
Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, I just spoken to Neil Mickelwright. They made enough changes that he felt he could now go and try and put a lap in. And there you see the results.
That was Neil Mickelwright on the radio. Team manager for Players Forsyth Racing. Now let's look at what happened to Patrick Carpentier this morning. You see, he just caught the end of the tire wall.
Hooked the front. It looks like he went in sideways or backwards, and then it hooked the front into the concrete past the tires.
And I tell you guys, when you go on the backup car, even if it's just a small things, maybe a seat belt adjustment, a different, seat position or something like that, just it changes your confidence. Here you need everything perfect to be the best.
On board with Paul Tracy.
This is going to be a good one.
Yeah. Win or lose, it will be exciting.
Nice smooth turning arc through 7 and 8.
This is his first out lap, so he's very little temp in the tires. You can see how much they have to slow down. Not a lot of grip.
So much shifting. The drivers spend a lot of time steering with one hand here.
Absolutely, and plus you don't want to warm up your tire too quick, because if you warm up the rear tire too fast, you have too much on the steer. Need to just have a lot of confidence, warm up the front end, and just go for it, like on the 4th and 5th lap.
One thing I've always found too, if you get too much heat in, you actually heat the outside without getting enough heat through the carcass and the sidewalls.
Tony Kanaan apparently on a hot lap through the visor cam. Currently 5th. Back on board with Paul Tracy. This is the turn 10 complex. .069 seconds last time by.
It's still on account of a warming up lap. You are in that phase that you don't really know what the car is going to do. You're just waiting and hoping that your front end is going to be exactly where you want to be, but you don't have a chance to check it out. You need to go.
That's the definition of commitment, right? When you head down into turn 1?
Absolutely. Commitment is everything in motor racing.
Watch the suspension. Very little movement. The Bridgestone's doing most of the suspension work. 62.247 that time by. 11th lap, 4th in this run.
It looks like he still has a little bit to go, so the next couple of laps are going to be the good one.
Only 6 other cars on track right now. Alex Tagliani and Patrick Carpentier have both finished their laps 6th and 16th after starting on the front row a year ago. Across the top of your screen, the current order with lap time, and the parenthetical number is the lap on which the best time was set.
Here we go.
60.971 last time by for Paul Tracy. Just a 10th off his best lap of the weekend.
Very tidy so far.
Much, much tighter than before.
He had to chase the back end going into the 10 complex before. Hold on.
Here comes the line. 60. 60.502. Still 2/10 off of Cristiano D'Amata.
But having earned second quickest, so he's back up. He's guaranteed second, but at that time would have put him second all on its own as well.
He was actually quicker in 2 of the time segments of the lap, but could not complete it. And we've talked about this before. Driver weight is very much an issue in the Kart FedEx Championship Series right now. A lot of discussion about whether they will weigh the drivers and cars together to make a minimum weight and sort of even the playing field for very light drivers like Cristiano D'Amata and heavier ones like Paul Tracy, who gives up about 40 pounds to the Brazilian.
There is definitely a disadvantage, I think that those 10.5 or something like this, could be even in the weight, That's something I've been struggling as well with me and Paul. We've been campaigning for a few years for this driver weight situation, and now Paul is gonna go for it.
Tune in 2 weeks and see if the new rule goes into effect as planned.
Well, we're hearing that it's already been tabled. It was supposed to happen in Mid-Ohio, and Mo Nunn apparently has really thrown a fit, would not allow Tony Kanaan to be weighed. And so for obvious reasons, Tony's the second lightest guy in the field. But if you want to see Paul Tracy put on a charge, you take 50 pounds out of there in the second half of the season, it is going to be on.
Absolutely. That doesn't mean that, we are fat. We are just a little bit taller than the other guys.
Scott Pruitt can add.
Actually, I had a chance to talk to Chris Pook last night. I said, what is going on with this weight situation? He says, nothing's going to happen to next year. We tried to get something done this year. We just are taking a pretty big gamble, making these sort of changes. We want to stay with the consistency of the series. We won't want to be making changes mid-year. So for this year, no changes. For next year, we're certainly going to do something. This is the only open wheels racing series in the world that doesn't have a weight issue for the drivers, a weight balance. I mean, a weigh in for the drivers and balance things out. Guys,
thanks for the update, Scott. That last lap, a 60.937. Paul Tracy just pounding at the door, but he is now out of laps. And that man, Cristiano D'Amata, can safely celebrate his 5th pole of the year, the 68th ever for Newman Haas. We'll be back.
Welcome back to Vancouver. The time runs are over, and Cristiano D'Amata has a long 20-minute wait, but 5th pole of the season. You got to be happy.
Yeah, I'm very happy, especially the way our day went yesterday. So we struggled a lot. We had all kinds of problems. So didn't have much time on the track today. But at the end of the day, we changed the strategy a little bit for disqualifying. Decided to go early and not to get traffic. Maybe we didn't have the best track out there, but we definitely had a lot of clear laps, had a good pace and got good rhythm going, so everything was fine. Everything that went wrong yesterday went good today.
Talk about yesterday as a real team effort to get this car together. I know Christian's team came over last night and helped your crew, changed a lot of the parts on the car, new Toyota motor, and all came good today.
Yeah, there were a couple of problems that we still couldn't identify, so the only way to solve it was going to be changing everything, but of course that would take a lot of work, change the engine from primary and the backup car. So Christian's crew, they finished their job a little earlier yesterday, so they came over, helped us. Was, just another great teamwork by Newman Haas.
All right, mate, great job. It's going to be a classic battle tomorrow, Daly, with PT and Cristiano on the front row.
What a day tomorrow is going to be with Paul Tracy on the front row, to the delight of the Canadians. Paul, handshakes all around. Barry Green came straight up to you, said, what a great job. Just a tiny bit short. Are you a little bit disappointed?
I'm a little disappointed in myself, really. I was trying hard, maybe a little bit too hard, and clobbering the curbs pretty hard, and I think that maybe cost me a little time, so I didn't really get the best out of myself. The car was a little bit better than I was today, so I left a little on the table. It's just trying too hard, over trying.
And John Anderson said this morning's cooler temperatures really suited the car. Maybe they didn't give you quite the car for the warmer temperatures. Do you feel that?
Well, I think I could have got more out of the car than what I got. So, I can't complain about how the cool car was handling, because I made a couple little mistakes, which I know cost me time. So, we're starting second. No complaints. It's better than where we have been starting, so we can go and focus on a good race. And we have a great race car with the cool car, so we're able to do a lot of laps at those kind of speeds.
And that's what we look forward to tomorrow, fellas.
Same front row as we had at the previous Canadian round of the championship in Toronto. There is Rick Moore on the left, father of the late Greg Moore, presenting the Greg Moore Pole Award to Cristiano D'Amata. That is one he will treasure for a long time. We'll take a break and return with more live from Vancouver. Welcome back live to Concord Pacific Place in Vancouver, Canada. A long summer night of partying about to begin in one of Canada's party capitals. Qualifying is finished for the Kart Grand Prix of Vancouver. Scott Pruitt is standing by with Tony Kanaan.
Pioneer driver Tony Kanaan. Tony, a little different strategy for everybody in qualifying today.
Yeah, I mean, see, everybody got in a traffic jam yesterday, so today everybody was hurrying up to go out right away. And if you guys looked, didn't make any difference. So I had the plan to go out early because we made a lot of changes in the car. The car was not a single piece was exactly the same we ever ran. So more is work with Ian to get a good setup. I mean, trying to get a good setup, and obviously we did.
Well, best of luck for tomorrow. Calvin?
We're down here with Dario. He's having a chat with Rick Moore, try and break in here. Dario, the run, I know he thought he had potentially a pole-winning car. You made some changes there. He's just having a chat with Rick Moore, Greg Moore's father. Dario, you made some changes there for the second run and it didn't quite work out for you.
Yeah, we tried to get rid of some understeer. All we did was make the rear of the car worse, so frustrating. And we had a shot at the pole in the first run. The second run, the car just wasn't with me.
Been some tough races recently. 100 laps here tomorrow. What's it going to be like from a driver's perspective?
This place isn't quite as physical as some of the other joints, but it's going to be hard, and we're going to be attacking from lap 1 to the last lap, so hopefully it'll go well.
All right, mate, go get him. Team Cool Green looking good again, guys.
No question about it. Dario Franchitti, always a threat on the temporary circuits. Back to talk with the father of his old friend, Greg Moore. We'll take a break and return with more in a moment.
Welcome back to live qualifying here on Speed Channel with a somewhat dejected Michael Andretti. Michael, the quicker one might have got away with the wall brushing incident.
Yeah, I just played it a little too close, hit the wall, and I was up 4/10 to my previous lap on that one, so it would have put me, I think, third or so. But hey, that's the way it goes. We're still up there. Team Motorola's done a good job. The whole Team Green's done a good job. 3 cars in the top 5 is pretty good.
Michael, you seem to be fast everywhere now. Do you feel you're on top of the handling idiosyncrasies of this new Lola because you changed from the Reynard mid-season?
Yeah, I was a little anxious to see how we were going to do here this weekend because we really struggled at Toronto, so we made big changes and it worked at Cleveland, but we didn't know if it would still work on a street circuit, and I was happy to feel it after the first session that we were right there, so I was really happy. Now I think we have a car now that we can fight the rest of the year with.
Thank you, Michael. Fight the rest of the year. Fight tomorrow is the key. Remember, wherever Andretti starts, he's always a factor. Can you imagine him and Tracy against Tamata? I can't wait.
This live Speed Channel presentation has been brought to you by FedEx, proud sponsor of the Kart FedEx Championship Series. Qualifying is now complete. Cristiano Tamata has come 15 places to take his 5th pole of the season. Tommy Kendall, your thoughts on tomorrow's race?
I'll tell you what, I'm looking for a very tense start. If Paul Tracy can get in front of Tamata, he'll have Dario to apply pressure from the back and Michael. So big stakes on turn 1 tomorrow.
Join us live here on Speed Channel at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Until